IMF. That story is on page 6. Kano, Lagos, Edo top as INEC concludes final phase of continuous voter registration. And that story is on page 25. And on page 23, Tinubu may meet more Oyo APC stakeholders as power tussle intensifies in Kwara, Benue. And the writer says Sharafaddin Ali widens scope of peace moves. Kwara stakeholders await Abuja's final verdict on Guba candidates. Alias loyalist battle for tickets in Benue. Opposition weakens against Niger governor. And that's that on that particular story. And on page 19, 7th week of incarceration, hardest for us. Rescued Orire school principal narrates ordeal during Thanksgiving. And that story is on page 19. And on page 24, Ondo Assembly crisis deepens as Speaker fights for survival. Lawmaker opens more can of worms. I beg your pardon, and that story is on page 24. Hoodlums invade Osun PVC distribution center, cart away voter cards. And lastly, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, we have a story on page 3. Consumption of common sweeteners linked to faster decline in memory thinking skills. And that's according to a study. Moving on to some of the inside stories. On page 2, article queries Tinubu over 7.98 trillion naira excess oil revenue. 2026 budget probe. Reps panel summons AGF over phantom presidential council. ADC to Tinubu, 176 Kayama abductees. Borno victims deserve same urgency as Oyo abductees. Says lives of Kebbi judge, others matter. Iran pauses retaliation strikes as US signals renewed talks. All stories on page 3. And on page 4, Nelfon clears June-July upkeep backlog as each student receives 40,000 naira. Importation of 80% building materials unacceptable, and that's coming from TET Fund. AAUS students give Ondo's government 72-hour ultimatum over ASU strike. And on business and economy, why 12.5% US tariff may be of little economic impact to Nigeria, and that's coming from CPPE. That's the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise. Moving on to more stories on page 6. Current fiscal status threats to reform gains, according to experts. Nigeria well positioned for inclusive growth if reforms continue, says outgoing RMF envoy. And moving on to the back page where we have the sports stories. Joshua dedicates knockout win to late friend. Obideyi trains over 1,500 coaches in Ibadan. Another Team Nigeria's boxer crashes out. Aino backs Nottingham Forest for UCL Sports. And lastly, we have Glasgow 2026. Asuko bags silver for Nigeria. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Moving on to more stories. But before we go ahead, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Moving on to more stories on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On page 42, we have U.S. warns Nigerians with dual citizenship. against traveling on foreign passports. Obi consoles tickets, best chance of winning, and that's coming from Babache Lawal. Ex-SGF not worth dignifying with response. That's coming from APC. Tinubu lacks capacity to lead Nigeria. Peter Obi promises to unite, secure Nigeria. All stories on page 5. Atiku fault Tinubu's borrowing spree amid 7.98 trillion naira oil windfall. And that story is on page 8. And on page 6, terrorists abduct Kebbi High Court judge. Hardship, low awareness threatens PPP. 92% of accounts dormant. That story is on page 11. Soldiers should earn 250,000 naira monthly. Ex-defense spokesman. That story is on page 9. And on page 34, 2027 presidency, why we adopted Tinubu, Adeleke Accord Party leaders. And lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have a story on page 37. Court orders army to reinstate pay 70 soldiers. And that's all on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Heading straight to the back page where we have sports stories. 2026 WAFCON. Super Falcons arrive in Rabat. Target record extending 11th title. Atletico unleash Lookman against Man United. And lastly, AJ earns 8 billion naira after knocking out Prenga in second round. And that's all we have on the newspaper review this morning. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria.
Coleman!
Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
this your 100%?
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent.
I saved for this one separately on money points.
No, you say you save on money points?
Yes.
This madam money points here, the array of your dryer there is target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is fees savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact, son.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
Why did John don't contribute to you? Where should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see money points accounts there. You know go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you choose. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the money points hack now. Even you. What are you waiting for? Download the money points hack now. Hadaku, wow, open money points account.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120. And this morning, we will be talking about the discovery of 908 ghost federal workers. The news broke out last week. Before we introduce our guests, it was said that the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, uncovered 908 suspected ghost workers across 50 federal ministries, departments, and agencies. The verification exercise led to the recovery of about 942 million naira in fraudulent salary payments, with the Federal High Court ordering the final forfeiture of the funds to the federal government. And now among the institutions affected were the Nigerian Police Force, the National Water Resources Authority, the Federal Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Power, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, the Federal Ministry of Health, and the Office of the Head of the Service of the Civil Service of the Federation. Interesting. Sometimes you wonder, how do we really get here as a nation? But to do justice to this conversation this morning, we have a retired federal worker in the studio with us. He is also a legal practitioner, Mr. Fatai Akinsomi Esquire. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
It's always a pleasure to have you, especially where we have to talk about issues like this and also of security. When we talk of ghost workers, it's been a long time coming. It's not just a new phenomenon. It's not a new word we are using in Nigeria. Who are those we refer to as ghost workers?
Well, ghost workers are those who are not in an establishment, but their name is slotted in for inappropriate payment, that is for work not done. At times, it may be even fictitious name, the name that is not existing, put in as an employee of an establishment, just with the intention to siphon funds to the perpetrator of such act.
So when we have people who do not exist in an organization, in a parastatal, or in a ministry, how did they find their way into the payroll of such ministry?
There must have been corrupt elements within that establishment. You know, when somebody is to be employed, there are procedures. You present documents, there will be documentations, the document will be sent to the account, the name will be put in the payroll. So if there is collaborations of people from the admin and the finance, such collaborations mostly lead to ghost workers. They put a name there that is not existing. They will perfect it by the document and make sure the names appears in the payroll.
There's a lot of confusion here when we
Absolutely.
look at this issue, and we will tend to ask questions like, when the numbers of people on the payroll is being added, are there no due diligence that is being done, especially coming from the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation? Don't you do your due diligence to ask questions like, oh, okay, we have 20 extra people that have been placed on this payroll. Who are they? Are they genuine? Especially when we have history of ghost workers in Nigeria? Are they real people working coming from this ministry of a certain parastatal?
Yes, there ought to be due diligence, but where the person responsible to conduct due diligence is also one of the perpetrators of the act. What is the result? What do you expect from the result? Because this is not something that will be done by just anybody, just anyhow. It must have been those who have the authority to get things done. So when the same set of people that you say, we have ghost workers, let us investigate it. So, and it will be very difficult for such to investigate himself and bring the report that to indict himself or herself. So it's not done by the common man within the system. It must have been done by those who have the power to do it. But they are not doing it in a corrupt and fraudulent manner to enhance their post.
Okay, I mean, since you've worked with the federal government, maybe you should run us through how, when an individual is employed in a government organization, a government parastatal or ministry, what's the process like, especially when it has to do with the final stage where you have to tender your bank details, your BVN, and other information. At what stage do you have to tender that? And are there verification, due diligence done when those documents are being, or information are being written out or disclosed?
You see, the federal parastatals, among the names that you just spelled out now, you mentioned the police, you mentioned the defense, you mentioned legal service, and some others, parastatals too. The procedures differ from one department. You cannot expect the police department now to use the same method that they will use when it comes to the other civil organization. So there's no uniform. But the most important thing is that whether it is uniform or it's not uniform, the person that is going to be employed will definitely do documentation. And then after the documentation, you will ascertain. That is why those in some parastatals, even within Nigeria, I don't think there is likely there will be any ghost workers, because once, most of these people that we are calling ghost, they are ghost workers, they are detected to be ghost workers. Some may be using their name in a particular ministry and using other fictitious name in other ministry.
But what about their BVN?
Most of this one, I just knew something now. I think it will help in the nearest future.
Yes, it might have been new, but not so new. Not maybe 5-6 years ago. And I also understand that when new policies are being introduced, workers are always told to update.
Yes.
Go on, update your details.
Yes.
Drop your BVN. Disclose, you have to register with your NIN and other personal details like that. So at that point, should it not or could it not have been flagged using the BVN? So let's assume you are using your original name where you're working, the ministry you're working, but you're using a fake name in another parastatal. But is it not going to be, or should the BVN not have been flagged?
You see, I think I opined that the ICPC must have likely used the bank analysis to detect the one they have been able to detect now. Because the bank will see there will be multiple payments from social ministry, from social society, from social place. And that is, I just suspect such, that is likely where that thing was detected. But when somebody who is Mr. A in a company manage to insert his name also in B, which are different parastatal, different entity, though working for the same government, but bearing the same name. We have people who bear the same name. It's not a new thing to bear the same name. But this same name is the same person. His own establishment may not be able to detect almost immediately. But I think external body like this, and if the government on its own just spring up with an independent verification officers who verified the numbers of workers, because at times, if we did the same department, you will see the payroll, the salary, major increase in the salary without major new employment. So anybody in that schedule should be able to say, what is happening? Something must be wrong. When we didn't employ people and the salary just went up, But when it is the same people who are doing the verification are the same people who are among those who are benefiting from
So you're saying there's an organized network?
It cannot be a one-man show. That is a reasonable assumption. It cannot be a one-man show, because those who are preparing the names are there, those who are preparing the accounts are there. Even within that department too, there will be verification officers. You should be able to detect, especially when there is major disparity.
And does this not talk about our moral as Nigerians now? When in an organization, we know, we are paying, let's assume, 200 people on a monthly basis, and suddenly we are paying 500. Should that not call for questioning?
That is correct. It ought.
Now, for those who are meant to carry out the verification, like you just said, are also not doing that, or not, I wouldn't even say they are not carrying out their due diligence, but maybe because of the organized network that is already in the civil service, they've decided to overlook, maybe because they are also involved, or they also have a share, a cut in what the proceeds. What's this to talk about our moral upstanding as Nigerians?
You see, it's when you are, let us equate it with corrupt practices that is happening almost on most of the ministries. And the way people are just amazing with impunity. So they know people, they pass through certain people, they verify it, but they are not in authority to caution it. If there is leakage about the information, well, it must have been leaked by those who are carried along the line, but they are probably not properly rewarded. So it's pure corrupt practices, fraudulent acts. It has the issue of morality is another issue entirely.
No, I think it is part of it, because if we see that, like you said, they are not in the best position to raise an alarm, to talk about it, why are they not in the best position? Is it because of the fear of safety, or fear that they would not even be answered?
You see, at times when there is a gang of fraudulent people, it's better you are not close to them. Once you are close to them and you are brought in, to bring yourself out will be feel difficult, because you will be thinking about the consequence. This set of people, you must have seen a lot of activities that they can do. So the fear again, they will create fear in you. So many things. You will not be able to talk. Then you just continue to carry along with them until God says it is time for you to be caught. So that is just the issue of it's just fraudulent act. Once you have fraudulent tendencies, you don't talk about it's money meant for all those money that we are talking that they are using to pay ghost workers, not ghost workers. They are paying themselves, because there's some set of people that are collecting it. The menace is so serious that at times some people will be who are ghost workers will be ghost workers until they go on retirement. Even in the pension schemes also, by the time the searchlight is drawn to the pension scheme also, you will see that a lot of ghost workers are still collecting pension. And it's going to the pockets of those who are even serving. So it's pure fraudulent act, and what matters most is how to enrich themselves. Nothing.
Of course, we will call it fraud, but when we have issues of fraud like this happening in a government parastatal, what's that to say about the pockets of the government now, where we are dishing out money to fake entities, to fake people who are getting this money on a daily basis? The money, looking at the 908 people that have been, or 8 ghost workers that have been discovered, when we round up that money, it could have been used or tailored better into a sector in Nigeria.
Yes.
How did we get here? That's first. Secondly, how do you think we should start looking into this issue, especially where people are noticing, but they are not speaking up?
You see, the major area to detect such, I think, in my own opinion, the NFIU will be a meaningful branch to detect all this. Because when it comes to the issues of verifications of accounts and other things, the NFIU have enough machinery. So once it's a salary, it's going to the bank directly. You cannot collect by cash. Since it's going to the bank, if Mr. A is collecting social money in certain bank, and is collecting another money in GTB, another one in Wema, another one in so. I think it will be easier for NFIU to detect. By the time we start from there, I think they will be unraveling those individuals that are collecting money from where they are not working. That means existence of ghost workers. So there may be other something, so many, but the most important thing is proper documentations and verification.
So you think there is no proper documentation and verification?
There is no. If there is proper documentation, there is no cause for ghost workers.
Now, talking of proper documentation, I thought that was the major reason why IPPIS was introduced initially, and also biometric verification.
Yes.
And now, if we had a technology that was deployed to curb this issue of ghost workers, and we are still talking about the same issue where an initiative was deployed, then what's that to say about the deployment itself, the actions of the federal government? Is it that we are also trying to, our government officials also look away from what they should not look away from, or there's already a loophole in that in the IPPIS deployment that made us have over 900 ghost workers again? Still talking of the issue of the ghost workers.
Yes, and with you, one of the best ways to detect ghost workers is physical counting, physical verification. That one, there is no way somebody can come out 2 times and said openly, I'm Mr. A. The 3rd day, he came back and said, I'm Mr. B.
But have we not gone past that in 2026, where we have a lot of technology that can be used to factor that out?
Yes, I agree, but the most important thing is that we have used biometric, and it's still occurring. Then something must be wrong. So if something must be wrong, there must be solution. You get what I'm trying to say? There should be. But I think I'm strongly of the opinion that by the time there is almost 100% registrations of Nigerians, individual, we have his own TIN identification number. By the time you have one identification number, even if you are born today, you will have your own identification number. I think it is that period that things can be extremely minimized. It may not be 100% eradicated, but at least it should be.
But we have BVN, we have NIN. Even this thing you talked about, I know a lot of Nigerians also have it. Why can we not get a system whereby we have all this into just one, and it's going to be a serious or an important way of identification, we won't just have several ways. And I think this is why we have a lot of loopholes, especially where we talk about the payment and the verification exercise, where, of course, there might be glitch when we talk of technology. But should we not begin to look for how to put all these into just one number, not to have it separate numbers in terms of identification?
You see, Nigeria, if you study Nigeria very well, by the time you introduce one of two things, developmental something, some sectors, some parts, some class, or people will still say, no, it's big in this, it's big in that, especially if you go to the far north. And we have started somewhere. At the end of the day, we may end up, we have every individual, they will just be using the same method, and everybody will be identified.
We have a commercial break, and when we return, we'll continue with the conversation. Please stay with us.
Goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We're still talking about the discovery of over 900 ghost federal workers last week, and it's been an ongoing conversation. Questions have been asked, suggestions have been raised, and Nigerians are questioning how over 900 people will be discovered in the federal ministry, federal parastatals nationwide, and it has not been detected over time, and we've not been able to curb this. Sir, could you also, when we talk about cabals in the federal ministry or even government agencies, now, could it have been a case where even a whistleblower cannot even blow his whistle anymore for the sake of safety? Because, of course, we cannot say that people were not aware. The head of some of the ministries will definitely be aware, or even those in charge of verification would definitely be aware and realize that the numbers of people or the count is much more than the proposed or supposed number of people they have in such agencies or ministries. Is this an issue of whistleblowers being scared of their lives?
You have correctly analyzed it. Yes, every individual want to survive. Nobody want to die. If you say things is hard, things are so, nobody want to die. And it's better you are not involved. Once you are involved, up to a certain level, it is always very difficult to opt out. It's all criminals, criminal sect or gang. It's better you are not closer to them, you didn't enter and you are doing things together. For you to say, okay, I'm tired, I have a call from God, God tell me to withdraw. There is likely to be certain consequences. So you cannot rule out such things. And the person will not want to die because the one he has stolen, he wants to enjoy it. So he may not fully participate. And by the time he said he wants to decide to blow whistles, he's involved. All of them will go because they will mention his name too. And there is no the crime of saying that no, I have withdrawn so period will not be able to appeal him. So it's better you don't. So what I'm saying is that, in line with what your submissions, the perpetrators are those who are in strategic location or position within that establishment. That is why there is ghost workers. If individual from the top decided to say, no, this is my own establishment, there's going to be ghost workers, you will see at times the bill will just be dropping. It will just be dropping small, because they'll be afraid that this man But by the time they said, probably immediately he's on board, they went there, they gave him certain more money, and after all, we now tell him that this is the procedure of this, so that's why we can make money here, and he concur. For him to say back out, he will just be saying, looking at how to perfect it until the whole thing is blown up. Because the money by ICPC that ICP has just discovered, there is somehow it will not be, it is traceable to individuals who are within the establishment. So once those ones are also identified and duly prosecuted, I think the menace may be dropping.
But over years, we've talked about, or we've heard, when we talk about the issue of ghost workers, we've heard also of prosecuting them, and it feels like it's still ongoing. Yes, the numbers might have dropped over time, but it's still something we are talking about. Earlier, you mentioned maybe physical counting would curb this to an extent, but of course, realistically, it might not work in terms of how many people do you want to count? Now, what other form of technology do you think should be deployed, apart from the IPPIS now that have been bypassed? The issue of biometric verification also has also been bypassed. They've obviously found out another means where these fraudulent activities can be carried out. What other technology do you think can be introduced?
I'm not too comfortable with the word bypass, the biometric and other system being bypassed. Probably we should say that they have not been properly used. What I'm saying, when I use that word, there's no bypassing of biometric. But you see, human being, the system will not operate itself. It's just they are all computer something which is garbage in. You will give him certain information to do. If you slow down the information or stop the information for a period of time, then you come back. So,
but we also talk of hackers. Yes. So if a system or if a technology system has been hacked, well, of course we'll have to say it was bypassed because of a fraudulent activity or a fraudulent means that was said to have been carried out or that wanted to have taken place. Okay. Now, what other ways, what other means should be deployed, apart from the head counting you mentioned, but in terms of technology now, what should the federal government start thinking of doing to curb this issue? Because I would also talk about or go back to the issue of using the monies, the salaries over the years that these over 900 people have collected. It could have been better put into our health sector. It could have been better put into our education sector. But here we are talking of over 900 people taking free money for the job they have not worked for.
You see, it's the effect on the economy also is always really enormous too. Because these are money that have been judiciously used in another sector that will better the lives of the common man. It's just been siphoned by individuals. The clique may not be more than 10 who are not, even if they are 100 who are collecting all those money, it's still not well, in my opinion. So I think it is better we divine all means to stop the menace, so that this detection you are talking about, if a fictitious name is used, and the same fictitious name used to open an account, then how do you now, the detection also may be impaired, or it's very, very difficult to identify a known person to that account, especially when everything is open.
If a fictitious name has been registered with an account, the person will drop at least your BVN. Now, the BVN should be able to flag if it's a wrong name, because the BVN was registered with a name originally. Now, if I am dropping my BVN with my name and I am dropping it somewhere else with another name, automatically, should you not think that the technology that has been deployed should detect that automatically to flag the discrepancies in the name?
You see, to discover that is more than just discussion like this. You can bring idea, yes, they may use part of it, but by the time they go on thorough investigation of it, I think in the investigation report, I am the opinion that a lot of where there is loophole will be identified. So I just urge the department, the ICPC, to go in and do thorough, in-depth analysis and investigations of each department to know where there are lapses so that they be able to advise the government accordingly.
Let's look at the implication of this now. First, the mentality of Nigerians.
Okay.
There are people who would say, oh, we're talking about ghost workers. People are being paid on a regular basis for the job they have not done. How does this affect the mindset of a regular Nigerian? Of a Nigerian who is struggling on a daily basis, that cannot even afford 3 square meal. And people are leeching and lavishing the resources of the nation. What's the implication of this to Nigerians, the mindset of the people?
You see, there is Nigerians, at times, if you mention the names of the people they are benefiting from to be involved in certain fraudulent acts, it doesn't have any meaning to them. The most important thing is that their own, the resources that is coming to them should just continue. They will, even by the time they is accused, I was even taken to court, you will see a Bamat crowd welcoming him, condemning his trial. So you see the intelligent quotient of individual and our mental thinking is it differs a lot, that you cannot define how an Afro Nigerian will do. Some will say Usana, some will say killing. So, but to think that it will go into one direction, I don't think so. That in Nigeria, you don't know what's going to happen in other jurisdictions, but in Nigeria, it has never happened. By the time, even a non-criminal, by the time you try when it comes to the issue of this corruption, you will see them when they want to release him probably on bail from prison. The numbers of people that will welcome him, the traditional or cultural dance that will be displayed, you will be thinking, what is happening? Are you sure these people are they human beings? And it's common. I think you too, thousands of those. You from your record, you know that. Am I lying?
I don't. All right, let's look at the impact of these on public funds now.
Okay.
Like we said earlier, the monies could have been channeled towards other sectors of the nation. How should we think, or how do you think public funds should be well managed in Nigerians, especially where we have to borrow a lot to sort out a lot of things? The federal government, we talk about borrowings. What's the loophole? How could they have, perpetrated this successfully over time?
The perpetrator, you must not lose
sight. And of course, you would also agree with me that 900 people were not, it was not 900 from the beginning. It was an addition over time. What's the loophole that was used in perpetrating this act?
You see, I said it earlier. You are talking about the perpetrator. If the perpetrator are also those to implement mode of eradicating or minimizing this, what success do you think one will achieve? So by time, but once they are able to identify those people who are perpetrating such acts, they will be interrogated. How do you do it? Why is it possible? How do you do this? By the time they deduce a lot of information from there and they are pushed aside, anybody coming on board, we know that there is searchlight now, beam on those, because they are in every establishment. There will be a key figure who must, if he diligently perform his duties, he must also detect. There must be scheduled official. There may be one, there may be two, there may be three. So they know where to put satellites on now.
Moving forward, what should the federal government do? How can they curb the issue of these ghost workers, fake workers? But before you answer that question, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% in year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Didn't your landlord just increase rent?
I saved for this one separately on money points.
Ma, you say you save on money points?
Yes.
This madam money points. points here. The array of here is target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is this savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
What happened? Why did I don't contribute to it? Why should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see money points accounts there. You know go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you choose. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the money points hack now. Even you. What are you waiting for? Download the money points hack now. Hadaku, wow, open money points account.
Money point made for your progress.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Before we went on that break, I was saying beyond the stolen funds now, what measures should the government, federal government, put in place to avoid further shock to Nigerians like this, revelations like that? I wouldn't really call it shock, but we would think that in 2026, even if we'll be talking about ghost workers, which we should not be talking about, it should not be to these almost 1,000 people. Now, what steps, what plans should they put in place to curb this issue?
I think there should be means of monitoring the payroll of every establishment.
Do you think that has not been done over time?
If it has been done over time, supposing from ministry they paid 2 million last month, and this month again is 4 million, definitely the question will be asked. By the time they are able to detect such and question being asked, I think I'm of the opinion that it's going to be reduced.
We talk a lot, we talk about ghost workers, but what about people who are in a ministry, a parastatal, are registered under their system, but do not do anything? Are they also classified as a ghost worker also? They are just known, they see them, but they have no office, they have no business there. They are just there, they are registered there. People know them. Are they also classified as a ghost worker?
Yes, they are classified as co-workers because they don't have any schedule of duty. But just probably they are somebody somewhere even working. They just occasionally they will just show up. Even those who are members of the establishment, you think that is one of our people. Whereas it's ghost workers. It's also ghost workers. Once there is no proper documentation, they still regard them as ghost workers.
There is definitely no excuse for fraud. But let's look at why people would want to associate themselves with a crime as huge as fraud.
You see the mental, at times, that is why those, when certain offense is committed, they will say, let us go and check this brain. Are you sure the brain? Because some people, you will be wondering, some people will steal what they cannot even spend. You know, they will steal more than what their even generation to come cannot even finish spending. So you see that something must have been wrong, you know. But until, I think, probably as time goes on, and when various enlightenment program is introduced, people's mindset might be changed. You know, people's mindset might be changed, so that you don't need to just live a comfortable life, and you're happy.
Let's look at a way to restructure the Nigeria civil service now. When you go to some offices, you see piles of files. You see papers. Should we not start? And I think, is that not another way where fraudulent activities come in, where we talk about missing files? You have to refile some people's some people into the system. You have to refile some maybe a group who are working in. Should we not start talking about reinforcing full technology into the Nigerian civil service system? Because if we keep talking of shorthand, if we keep talking of filing using pen by pen and all, is that also not a way of fraudulent activities coming in and, of course, bypassing due procedures?
You see, as at today, the largest employers of labor is the government. And then people still want you to expand more than that. There is no family that is not, there is no one or two or three people looking for this white collar job. That is why we will urge the government to create enabling atmosphere so that the private sectors will come in. So by the time that what happens in the early 70s, 80s, whereby you see that the private sectors employed very, very large numbers of the populace, but almost most of those companies, because of the previous administration and other things, they have they fold up, and most of them left the country. Thousands of them, even in Badania. Recently, land is there, all of them, so many TSG, so many companies, even the Atoluyoli sectors, almost all the companies, they are gone. But I think, as at now, with what we are seeing, I think most of these foreign companies, they are showing interest that the atmosphere to do genuine business is actually operating. I think there may be improvement.
All right, as we begin to wrap up on this segment this morning, we talk about some of these government parastatals, ministries, not opening up to recruitment. Now, is this another reason why we are not seeing so much recruitment happening in those ministries, whereby they feel like, oh, you have about 100 people here already, you need more people? Mm-hmm. Could that also be the cause?
Mathematically, it's one of the causes. The other cause, but it's one of the causes, because we are already, what they are called, and what they can be regarded, that can be regarded as excessive salary payment in the payroll, and she want to employ it. After, if you want to employ, you say which sectors? Okay, it's an admin, personnel. How many of you are there? They are saying they are 10 or they are 20. How would you? Is 20 not enough? Whereas it's just 20 is not real. So automatically, it's a factor that is also militating seriously against the employment of the qualified youths, vibrant youths who are ready to work.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Fatai Kisomi Esquire. He's a retired federal worker and, of course, a security expert who's been talking to us about the discovery of 908 ghost federal workers. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be right back with our second guest after this break. Please stay with us. All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Still talking about the discovery of 908 federal ghost workers. To do justice to this conversation again, we have our second guest in the studio. He's a legal practitioner. He's Mr. Sharafaddin Sani. Thank you so much, Mr. Sani. It's good to have you. Looking at the issue of the ghost workers and, of course, discovering almost 1,000 people, workers, fake workers who have bypassed the system. We talk about the IPPIS, we talk about the biometric verification and other procedures. They must have bypassed a lot of procedures for them to have been successful. We also talk about the BVN. When registering, I mentioned earlier, when making registration, or especially when you have to link it to your bank details, you have a name already registered, a name you used in registering your BVN. So if you're dropping a fake name, a pseudonym, and it's different from the name that was being registered with that particular BVN, should the system not have flagged it? Let's look at all these issues and, of course, the weaknesses in the system that made over 1,000 people collect salaries they have not worked for.
Well, thank you very much. We must, first of all, look at where and how we get here. For the students of history, you realize that we had similar issues sometimes in 1983, 83 and 84, thereabouts, when the late Audu Ogbe was the minister then. He announced something like that, and we've been having it over and over again, and I think one of the reasons why the structure of bank verifications, BPP, whatever, all the federal government systems and the biometric structure and programs in verifying who are the real this thing. That was where those things came into, why those things came into place. And having said that, I want you to realize something, that for every system, there is a structure. And that structure is occupied by personnel. Do you agree with me? Human being. So when you want to do things of this nature, it is not limited. The operational modus of those things is not limited to one person. It is to definitely be within a cartel that take care of these things, for them to share what comes out of it among themselves. It starts from recruitment. It starts from personnel management, goes to finance, goes to salary payments. Who is paying the salary? Who is preparing the structure for the salary? Even to the bank, where this money is being paid to move from and be paid to. Now you are talking about BVN. You realize that sometimes, even outside the civil service structure, you realize that sometimes ordinary personnel, you discover that when you use a bank BVN number for a particular time, and a particular time when you want to use that BVN for another thing, they will tell you that there's a mix-up somewhere.
Maybe a discrepancy.
In names.
So you have
sometimes
to go correct
in
the same order you have used to register the with the BVN.
Yes, one. Two, sometimes you discover that two people may be sharing one BVN, and they'll tell you that it is probably the last 5 or the last 2 or the last one digit number that restructure the whole thing. And system will only take it until you put a contrary reason into it. That's when you now have crisis. It will now block the 2, or shut down the 2, or red flag the 2. So now, until you have it, let us look at this 905 or 906 ghost worker you're talking about.
908.
908 ghost worker you're talking about. Police, Nigerian police, shared 50 something.
Yes.
Had the largest number there, 50 something. 570. Look at the structure of Nigerian police. It is known to be apology to that institution. It is known to be a corrupt institution from onset.
So are you saying it is expected?
It is expected. It is expected. Let us take it from the DPO level. At a particular time, there was this rumor that when Algon gave them that jeep, then like gave them either the jeep or the Hilux, then where you used to give them this, want to copy the foreign style of giving them jeep, Algon jeep that local government give to all the police, and they distributed it. Then it was discovered, it was said, rumor, that 35,000 naira for every maintenance of this release every month. Before you get to the divisional police station, you only have 3,000 naira. If you allocate 33,000 naira upward, and by the time you get to the lower base, you're getting 3,000 naira. Look at the cadre. Look at the steps where the structures will come from before you get there. Then if it has been on like that, something has been wrong. You see, facing out ghost worker is a system, is a phase which requires continuous orientation, continuous screening, continuous modification. Because when you are thinking of bringing in a system now, you are bringing in, probably, let's look at a computer-generated program to screen this thing. Mind you, there will be a person there that will be feeding you that information. Somebody is there.
You're saying it was not hacked. Neither was it bypassed.
It was not hacked. It was not bypassed. It was programmed to fail. It was programmed to accommodate it. Part of it is what you have somebody who put in the wife, the in-law, the son,
and himself is collecting 12 people's salary.
You ask yourself again, we have been seeing so many corrupt practices and announcements everywhere, where they will tell you that somebody had over 100 accounts and has been managing it and has been feeding in money into it. How come?
Now, when we have structures, or should we call it a failed structure in the federal civil service? A few weeks ago, I think 2-3 weeks ago, we talked about the fake agency created under the presidency. The case is still in court till today. I'm talking of the PFIPC issue of one Prince Adeyemi and Gbajabiamila. We also talked about yes, and we also talked about last week a fake institution giving people fake admission. It feels like our structure in Nigeria is flawed. How did we get here? That's first. Secondly, how do we make sure we do not continue on this path? Because it feels like as much as the federal government might be putting in so much effort, we have a lot of saboteurs in-house who are ready not to make the system not to work. What else can the federal government do? And it feels like it's happening so much in the federal parastatal, in the federal civil service structure. What should they do?
Thank you very much. Don't say federal civil servant. We have similar issue in Osun.
We have, of course, because we are relating more to the issue of the federal. Yes. That's why I'm based. And then we are seeing a lot of news coming from the federal structure.
Because that is where you have the highest largest.
And
but let me take you from there.
What should they do?
Let me take you from there. You see, the Bible and Quran recognize this. That what you have as your administrative setup there, the leaders you have there, is the product of what you produce from the family level. We are everybody, we are all shouting around government. Who occupies that position? We are talking about, we say president has failed. Can the president take care of the whole Nigeria? You only make decisions based on report of what you get, based on performance index of what people, based on performance, the performance valuation that people are giving you, people that will work with you. We are here now in the studio. You have somebody there behind the camera there trying to let these things work. You have somebody that takes care of that. You have your head of program. You have this before you get to the top. Did you expect the chairman to be here? No. He gives us the assignment today. Getting up your guests to come here. If you want to get a dumb guest, it is your responsibility. I'm coming. If you want to get all this, it's your responsibility from the lower before you get to the high. Now let us now take this. We are talking about failed system. We are talking about how do we get there. It is what you are producing in our household when we fail that we produce into the system. How can you produce somebody, the same person you are talking about, who put in 5 or 6 or 12 of his family there, we'll be saying about Tinubu is a failed person. You have something to do, commercial. Now let's go there. We have commercialized every sector. And everything we commercialize, we look at what can we get from it. Let me make what I want to make within these 35 years of my service. Or let me make what I want to make for those that join late. Let me make what I want to make before I become 65. And that is where, if you have sincerity of purpose, you will achieve. Most of these things you are trying, federal government is trying to, all sectors of government, they are trying to put things that will check this. They introduce program, they introduce BVM, you circumvent it. They introduce program that will call this thing, you circumvent it. It is when they fail to introduce what will cut the system, that is when we say they fail. But they are trying to see, okay, these people are smart, let us try to check them. In the process of checking them, they too are advancing the more. Just like what I said is, you have people behind the system. It is the information. In the street language, they say garbage in, garbage out. It is what you feed into the system. And these cartels are everywhere. I'm putting in, you just tell, I'm putting in 12 people there. Out of the 12 people there, take 20% of the money that is coming out of it, or I have agreement with you to take 20 or 30% of what is coming out of it. Fine, if you have a corrupt person, not a corrupt government, it will fall in line with the system. By the time they release the people behind this, you now discover that it's not one person, not two persons, not three persons, not four persons. You prepare a payment voucher of over 70,000 person. How did you want somebody that want to read through 70,000 naira and you must pay them by the 30th or 28th of the month? And that is not the only thing that person is doing. He has so many other things he's doing. You just look at the payment, it may verify the little he can verify and the rest. You need to appoint, you need to take care of this appointment, take care of that appointment, take care of this, and you bring in a list of things. We are all human beings, we are not machines. We have to go back, try as much as possible to stabilize our mental capacity on how to face off this system. You can accommodate, you can accumulate money for so long. But what about if you are caught? Look at the former Attorney General of the Federation. He made so much money within a short period of time, and when they took away most of those things, they start jumping from one court to the other. It is expensive when you are caught. It is very easy to make money, but it's expensive when you are caught.
Let's look at our structure now in Nigeria, or let me go back to the Nigerian police force, yes, who has been accused or alleged of having 500, yes, the highest affected institutions, 65%. And that's 570 ghost workers. You talked about corruption earlier. Yeah. You also talked about, people in charge of verification process when salaries are being paid. When you have over almost 70,000 people, how many can you verify? It's not to talk about our workforce system, manpower, a deficiency, and of course, looking at the structure of the Nigerian police force as a whole. Now, apart from corruption, let's look at their welfare. And I would say again, there is no excuse for fraud. But looking at their welfare, their remuneration, and of course, their take-home on a monthly basis, I don't know, you're a lawyer. I know you've dealt a lot with the Nigerian police force. When you take an issue there and then they tell you, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for this, you have to even fill their vehicle for them to follow you or be deployed to wherever they need to be. Could this also have been a major factor while we have this much crime in the Nigerian police force?
You see, I will agree with you to a certain extent. You just said something now that no matter what condition, that must not definitely encourage fraud. Having said that, are we saying that it is lack of welfare and makes a man to be collecting 12 people's salary. Is that lack of welfare? If you say one, we may be saying that, oh, sorry, it is due to lack of welfare. But 12 people. That means you've been able to take off 12 people that need to be employed into the system, that are not employed, but you're taking
away
them
that opportunity away.
Taking away opportunity for 12 people. That means those people that are involved in this system have been able to deprive their Nigerians. They are human beings. They are not government, but they are government officials. Most of them are not elected into the system. They pass through the civil service structure to get into this. Civil service, civil servants, human beings like you and me, depriving other human beings of the opportunity to get their source of living. And that is the highest rate of man humanity to man. 908. Some few people taking up the salary of 908. For heaven's sake. And it is not that the government is not introducing some measures to check them. But when they are getting smart every day, learning how to circumvent the system to still redirect this sum of money back to them. What flagged off? That's what we need to know. ICPC will not just jump into the system. Probably it is due to eagle eye of some people. I looked at it and said, yes, maybe a whistleblower. Looked at the system and said, something is not right here.
Could it also have been because of the issue of the fake agents, the PFIPC?
I disagree with you.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
But let's looking at the breakdown of the suspected ghost workers and the institutions affected. We have Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
Yes.
Also accounting for 12 fake workers.
Let us
now, when we have the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, we are supposed to be in charge of this, primarily supposed to be in charge of this verification process. But you're also accounting for, does that also question the authority in that structure itself, the head of that civil service?
You see, there's no way all the other structures can do this without the involvement of that office.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I'm coming.
Maybe because of the issue of the fake agency, that was why we were able, the ICPC was able to flag off. And let's also not forget, the issue of the fake agency, the president mandated ICPC to look into it. Apart from the chief of staff that was involved, or primarily involved, that's Femi Gbajabiamila, the head of service was also mentioned. How were you able to overlook such an agency? Having an office, a physical office under the presidency, having over 200 workers, they are being placed on salaries. We talked about being put into, added to the 2026 budget also. Could it have been a reason, the reason why we are talking of the revelation of over 900 ghost workers in the federal civil structure?
If we extend so far into that, what will I call it, that topic, we'll deviate from what we have now. Let us take it, I'll relate it back. Head of Civil Service Agency, Head of Civil Service of the Federation. You have structure there. You only appoint somebody that will head it. Probably a politician, a civil service, which you know that they have done so well, you bring him back politically and put him there. You see, that structure, that system has civil servants like you and every other person that takes their take home from the government. And for anybody to take there, they must have gone through the system, know how to circumvent most of these things. We are talking about police Let us take it general. The most corrupt structure in Nigeria is the civil service system. They come, they take the political head that just been appointed. Oga, if you want to survive here, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. This is how you can get something home. If you say you are not going, they will rebel against you. You can never be successful. If you say you want to cut them, they will rebel against you. And come, there is nothing you can do. But let me now go back to what we are saying now. When you say the head of civil service has failed, I will also not agree with you in totality, in the sense that you have a very, very complex structure that you keep picking. Don't be surprised we wake up tomorrow, we find another one. They will keep picking and picking and washing, doing the in-house cleaning over and over and over again till we get there. Mind you, I refer you back to what happened in 1983. When you have about, I think about 500 of them or something. 1983. That does not mean we've not been having.
Of course, we have. Let's look at memory lane now. In 2012,
so
we had 71,133 fake pensioners. In 2015, we had 60,450 ghost workers. In 2016, 43,000. 2018-2021 verification, we had 80,115
How many do we have now?
ghost police personnel. Now in 2026, we are talking of 908, almost 1,000. Yes, there's been a decline. But in 2026, should we still be talking about fake workers?
We will. Let us look at the demography. We will. We will keep talking about it until they are able to face it out. You see, look at demo. Look at. Let us take demo. Let us take the downfall from about 80,000 and 60,000 fake, 22,000 fake police this to about 500 now. Look at that gap. That means the thing is coming down. If you have demographic pricing of food at the price of 500 and something naira last year, and now we have it about 22,000. What do we call that? What do we call that? That's over 300,000, over 50,000% increment. But when we have this kind of reduction, we still need to appreciate the system that is pushing in some of those things to reduce it to this level we have. That means most of the structures that have been put in place, systems that have been put in place to correct these things is working. Also, let us take it. Yes, if we say, yes, that of the Adeyemi scandal, Adeyemi Gbajabiamila scandal, I will want to blame the government for that.
Why is that so?
This issue started 2025. This guy, when he was saying, he said he was put in police detention or something detention for 21 days. We didn't hear anything since then. It is 6 months after, and this child is still walking the streets as at then. What are the steps taken between then and now? Why do we have to wait till the demise of the man he called his soul before this issue came up? Over again. Mind you, the report has been there since last year. Also, you see, the PPIF, whatever, finding his system finding his way into the budget. I will also need to blame some people from, one, the presidency, and some people in the Senate. How does it get there? What you need to do is this letter of either appointment or creation of that thing. You send it to the office of the Accountant General, office of this thing, the structure personnel for you to work with, depending on what you have. As long as you have that letter, the letter has the expected signature. It's like you having your letter of appointment. You come here, who will ask you questions? What they need to do is find their way into your salary scale. Every department puts you, know where to put you to work. They will now give you 3 months. probation period. That 3-month probation period will allow them to structure into your payment, your this, your that, your that. Probably into that probation, they discover, the office of the accountant general discovered that yes, there's a way, there's a move to open an account, 2 accounts for this agency. But this was not confirmed. This was not confirmed. That account was never opened. They were waiting for further confirmation from what we had from the same spot that they were waiting for further. That was when they now said this thing was not coming, and that was what raised the red flag for them to investigate on. And the question is this: they asked this guy, "Have you ever met with Ajabi Ambila?" He said, "No." A third party. Where is the third party? Is late now. You see, our system of close to 1960 till now is so bastardized that everybody want to pick what they want to pick. Most especially in the civil service system, when you are 65, you're 35, you're going. They want to pick, they want to struggle to pick whatever they want to pick. And that is what is affecting our system. Then what we are producing, the civil service of then, of the period of like the Imodus and the rest, is not what we have now. The system is changing everybody. Some of these disciplined, well-respected civil servants, they are retired. The new ones who faked their result to get in, or who got in, or who was nominated by the father or the grandfather to come and replace him, coming to the system now. He didn't work for it. He got it on the platter of good. What do you expect of him? You see people dropping their files, they are putting their jacket, hanging their jacket at the back of the chair. You think they go to the toilet. They've left for that day.
Now, when we have these structures or the civil service happening on a having a not well laid down structure, and earlier you mentioned a complex structure, how do we begin to simplify this? How do we begin to make people own up to their responsibilities? How do we begin to make sure that people are really working for the money they are earning? Removing the issue of ghost workers.
Thank you very much. The more we try to, what I'm talking about is the disadvantage of computer and all sorts of...
Is it a disadvantage or we are not making good use of it as we should?
It is a disadvantage, I'll tell you. Well, it's a disadvantage. When you have a computerized system, that can operate, or somebody somewhere, most of this, your camera is there. You place it somewhere, you have robots that can take care of this thing. Definitely, there will be down structure of staff. Because you need money to maintain those systems electronically. You need people and you need somebody, an expert, well paid, more than the one you are using now, to make sure that they operate most of these systems to work. Before now, we have typewriter. And people type.